And welcome to another episode of DIOTALK. I'm Dio. Let's talk. My guest of the day is the author of The Lookup, a story about overcoming adversities. For you listeners and viewers, this is a great book. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to Elman Woodson. Welcome to the show, brother. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me, Dio. This is it's a great outcome like here to finally have you and I kind of connect, because I know we have been talking to each other via social media. I've been following your stuff, you've been following my stuff, and we've been connecting. So this is really good, and I appreciate you having me on for today.
Oh man, it's an honor. It's an honor. You're super talented, but not just, you're so intellectual. I first I learned about you because I did my wife is a real estate agent, right? Mm-hmm. So she's a part of this brokerage EXP, which is everything's digital. She does, well, this time there was this program called the Appointment Academy, and your lovely wife, which I never spoke to, but when we was about to finish, she shouted you out, and she said, "You're writing this awesome book. It's just a couple of days." She said, "Pre-order it," and I said, So I clicked. I looked you up on Instagram, and I saw your. It's just awesome. Thank you. So I pre-ordered the book. It's right here. I've been reading it. Man, let's just get into it. I have.
Let's jump in. Yeah.
I can't remember what page. I'm not gonna look back and forth. There's just in the beginning. I'm just gonna give you pinpoints. I don't want to spoilers. Right? I want people to buy this amazing book because it is good. There's this part that made me emotional. Like it gave me that thing right here. Yeah. In my here right in my throat is the part and where that something happened that you can no longer go to the law school, right? Yeah. And you called your dad, and up to that point, that feeling you describe of able to say such heartbreaking news, and you were able to call your dad, and your dad give you that reassurance and support.
Yes, he did.
I that immediately I felt that. I felt everything before that, especially. I've never, I didn't grow up with my dad. I have really no any relationship with him, and to read those words of reassurance that your dad had your back, man. Yeah. It makes me, that's the type of dad I want to be for my son.
Wow. Yeah.
And from that point forward, man, I just clicked with the book.
Yeah. Good, man. Oh, wow. Yes. I remember, man, when you just brought that up just now, like this is the thing, this happened. I went to law school in 2008, 9, 10, and those experiences happened, like they happened over 10 years ago. Yeah. But when I started writing this, because I just felt I just had this passion, this feeling on the inside of me that I had to get this story down on paper.
Yes.
I had to get it out to the people and share it. And one thing that I still remember those moments like it was yesterday. I still remember calling my dad. I still remember crying on the phone and him being like, "Son, it's okay. It's okay, man." Like. And it just, man, I'm starting to get a little. Wow, it just is one of those things where it was like I tremendously felt that no matter what, he had my back. Yeah. And it wasn't like I had to prove anything to him. It was just that I was his son. Period. No matter what, in the good, the bad, or the ugly, like it didn't matter. And it was just and I wanted to convey that because no, not only not to like create a story, but to tell the truth about how I
Yes,
felt at that
yes,
moment
yes.
and tell the truth about my sentiment at that moment. I felt like an absolute failure. I felt like I had like failed the family. But at the same time, like, that's why the first chapter is called Failure is Not the End. And part of the reason why I started there is because I wanted to start with this bang. I wanted to get your attention and get the reader's attention that listen,
Yes,
even if
yes.
you fail in life, failure is not the end point of your life. It's just a bump in the road.
Yes,
And
yes,
it's a bump in the
100%.
road that you have to just keep going over and just keep. And the thing about it is, you know, I think when there's another part in the book where I talked about, there was a failure in my life, and I felt it. But at the same time, I wouldn't be the person I am without that in my life.
Yes, yes,
I needed that to push me to recognize different things about my life, different things about how I could become better, different things about how I could think differently, different things about how I could become more structured in certain areas. But without that, I may not have gotten that example because you know how sometimes deal we go through we go through easy times in life and we're like, man, I wish this
yes,
was easy. I wish this was easy. But in
yes,
reality, let's be honest, most people learn the most, they get the best lesson out of the failures in their life.
yes, yes.
So,
That is correct.
with that experience, what I learned from that was to fail, fail often, seek
Yes,
failure,
yes,
seek the opportunity to go after something
yes,
that is so tough, so strong, so difficult for you that you're going to fail at it, but you're going to learn so many things and you're going to meet so many people that are going to push you to become the better person. They're going to push you to become that person that you dream about, that man, Theo, stop me whenever you're ready to stop me
no,
because I could
no,
just
man.
go off
Just
on this like,
keep preaching, keep preaching, keep going.
no, but what I was going to say was that, like, sometimes we go through these things, we have these thoughts in our life, these dreams, these aspirations, these goals that we go to sleep dreaming about,
Hmm.
or we have this ideal life that we want to live. We see ourselves doing something. You see yourself buying that, I don't know, the Porsche 911 or whatever. I don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
any
yeah.
car, or getting a house right on the water somewhere. But I would venture to say that those dreams, those thoughts, those ideas, those inclinations, those things that come to us, those are really just an inkling into the life that we're really supposed to be living. Those are
Yes,
just like a little peek into the life that you're really supposed to be living. Those desires that you have it's drawing you because that's really what you're supposed to be doing. That's really where you're supposed to be living.
hmm,
That's really how you're supposed to be living your life. You
yes,
know what I'm saying? Like you're not drawn to everything. Certain things get your attention. Certain things make you want to be like, I like that. I want to do that. I want to be that. And why is that? It's not everything. It's just certain things. And the reason is because that's really what you are. It's calling you. It's
yes.
it's seeking you. The same way you're seeking it, it's seeking you.
The law of attraction.
The law of attraction, man. The law
Yes,
of
yes.
attraction.
Oh man.
And so yeah, that's what this book was about, man. And also, that was about my dad, but my mom was about chapter 2,
Hmm.
and that is where I feel like a lot of maybe moms really can relate to that experience, that conversation, because chapter 2 was about my experience with my mom, because I told my dad first,
Yes, yes,
and I did it strategically because I felt like, first of all, I knew their work schedules, because I knew my mom would be at work, my dad would kind of be off, and so
yeah.
I knew I could talk to him. But my mom, the conversation was totally different. It was totally different. But at the same time, I get why she did what she did. I understand why she did what she did. And matter of fact, for this book that I wrote, I I interviewed her. I interviewed her to learn more about her history, to see if there was anything else I needed to learn. And I learned more about my mom while I did that interview. And I
Wow.
understand now why she did what she did, because she wasn't trying to raise me to be a boy. She wanted me to be a man and handle if I created that bed, then I need to lay in that bed and understand what it is that
One
I
hundred
did.
percent. Yes, yes.
And that was her way of thinking, and I get it. I get it. I understand. I appreciate her even more now because of how she didn't let me give up on myself, how she didn't let me settle for a mediocre existence. She
Yeah.
wanted me to become something different. She had higher expectations out of me than I had for myself at the time. Now, most times, I made it to law school. Some people would be like, wow, you did so, but she was like, I expect more out of you.
She gave that tough love.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, man. She was not playing. She doesn't, like my
Mamas
mom,
don't
probably your
play.
mom too. They're from the old school. They don't play. They
Mm-hmm.
don't play, man. And she was not playing around with me. She was not gonna let me even my actions was one thing, but she wasn't even gonna let my mind get to a place where I was willing to just sit down or just in my mind. She required me to think about the future.
Keep busy.
Keep busy.
Yes. Yes.
Keep focused. Keep striving. Get back to what you said you was gonna do. I don't care what it looks like. Make it happen.
Mm-hmm. That's
That's how
beautiful, man.
man. Oh my goodness, man.
That's wow. That's I can't wait to get to that chapter too. Shit.
Man,
Uh,
it was interesting, man. Oh man. Anyway,
I,
yeah,
I like the fact that you wrote in the book um when you were in the process of applying and sending your applications to these universities, and you kept like getting denied. Like you said they're almost like see me coming
yeah,
and have it prepared. And your dad, I can't remember the question. He told you something, but it was basically like to test you to
yes,
basically to see if you're like just brush it off and keep moving forward.
yes,
Uh,
yeah. It
I
was a
love
very
that part too.
yeah. It was interesting, man. And that and man, that's interesting. While I was writing this book, I one thing that I wanted to do with this book was to not just put on paper what happened, but I also wanted to incorporate what I was thinking and how I was feeling. And I also wanted to also incorporate like I remember that man, I remember that conversation too when I told him I got rejected from everywhere.
Yeah.
And I remember his face. He was like, "So, what are you gonna do?" It's almost like he just asked me this question, almost like Don Corleone, like, "What are you
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
do?" Yeah,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, well, so what are you gonna do? Like he knew what he was expecting, what he wanted to hear,
He was testing you. He was,
but he was like a test.
yeah,
It was almost like he was like he wasn't just asking me, "What are you going to do?" He was almost asking me, "So, okay, I've instilled everything that I have into you. Now, how are you going to use that to pick yourself up and do something with this, even though even though it's a rejection or a failure? How are you going to turn this around?" And it's in that question, like he asked so much, but it was
mhm.
so.
Yes,
You know how sometimes people just say a short
yes,
phrase, but
yes.
really there was so much
It's
behind it.
so like straightforward, but yet
Yes,
so powerful and so short that
yes,
it capture your attention. It's it means more than what it is.
yes,
Yes.
yes. And that's what I wanted to convey, that because he was literally asking me all of that. Like he was going back in time almost to like when he first raised me as a kid, like when he was teaching me about I don't know, about being a man or whatever. I don't know. It was just like just that one question about what are you going to do. I felt like it was almost like my whole history was packed into that question,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he
Wow.
was
That's
waiting to see
powerful.
what kind of response I was going to give him. And that's why when I said, when I responded the way I did, he gave me that like,
That's my
okay,
boy.
yeah, yeah, right,
That's
right.
my boy.
That's
Yes.
my right.
Yes. Yes.
And so that was just a very it was a very interesting moment, man, because like even further on, um, I just explained about how the challenges of just getting in. So that was the first year. Then the second year presented different challenges, and another question. He came up with another question. He said, "So, what are you gonna do?" And and I I gave him another answer, and he was like, "Okay," and he was like, "Okay." And so it's like almost like I'm gonna support you no matter what you do, but I prefer that you make the decision for your life that you need to make it.
Mhm.
And
A part of being a grown up and a part of being a man as well.
yeah, yeah, it's like taking responsibility for
Key,
all of your actions,
key for everything. Key for
everything,
everything.
and for you, not for just what happened in the past, but for your future. What are you gonna do today that's gonna help you set yourself up for your future? What are you gonna do? How are
Yes.
you going? How are you going to conduct yourself in this setting? How are you going to conduct yourself in this setting? Are you going to, allow the waves or the are you going to allow the weather, the emotional weather
Of
of
the
the storm that
storm
you're
to
going
control
through?
you.
Yeah, to waylay your decision making. Is it going to push you to the side, or are you going to say, listen, this is what I want, and this is what I'm going to go for, no matter what, and I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah.
And it's just all those like
Yeah.
life lessons I learned throughout this whole experience. And yeah, like as you go on, there's just there's a lot to it, man. I don't want to tell too much of the story, but
Nah.
I do want to. I mean, there's just just figuring things out in times when it just seemed like it was just
There's
it was really
nothing there.
difficult.
Yeah.
There's nothing there, and I think I wanted to combine that with some talk about my faith, and the fact that at a certain point I had to just believe that I could do it. I had to believe that I could make it happen for myself.
I'm into that.
There was there's like there's a part in there when I talk about when I was driving through the city one more time, and I had to just declare some things, and I had to I had to do it. I
Mhm.
had to do it, and it wasn't like it wasn't like I knew to do that. I just did it, and it was almost like I had to talk to the universe, man.
Yeah, man. It's
And
always listening. You gotta talk to it.
you got to talk to it.
I can
Yeah.
imagine this man, because just reading, I'm still in chapter 1, and just reading up to that point, right? Um, Writing this book was totally emotional,
Oh,
an emotional roller coaster, because what I like, and what I've read so far, what I like, it's so much detail that
mm,
you you're able to grasp the right words and combine them, so it's not too much, it's not too
mm,
little, it's just right. And when you're reading it, you can just, I like, when I read it, I can imagine that moment with your dad in my head.
yeah, yeah,
Like I can imagine vividly. Like once I saw your photo, and you posted your dad's photo on Instagram.
yes,
I
yes,
can, in my head, and I'm reading the story, I could picture these two incredible human beings having that deep conversation. Like I pictured you calling your dad and
yeah,
breaking that news. Like
yeah,
that's good writing, first of all.
yeah.
And I can, man, I can just imagine the emotional toll it took on you to get those words out.
It was tough, man. There were times where I almost didn't want to put it down. I almost didn't want to. I had, it was interesting writing this. Wow, writing this book, man, it was an emotional roller coaster. You're right. It really was. I didn't realize how much of a toll it would take on me when I wrote it. And it's funny too because it's not that big of a book, but it's just like writing
Mm-hmm.
this book, like it took something out of me. Like it took some like I remember when I first started, I wrote a couple of paragraphs, a couple of sentences and the Kim pages and a couple of things like that. But I had to go back and there were times where like even for chapter 1, I had to go back and say like this is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like just putting down what happened is not enough. Like I have to go in here and explain where I was mentally, like what I was feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and what was going through my head at the time. Like what were the expressions on the faces at the time. And the thing is, I could still remember it. I could still remember. I remember sitting at the table having these conversations, some of these conversations with my dad and my mom too.
Yeah.
It
The
was
defining moments in your life.
defining moments. And the thing about it is like these experiences were something that I feel like it's almost symbolism because in the reality is we all go through tough times, man.
Yes,
We
yes.
all go through challenges, and it's not because we've done something bad or done something good, but it's just life. Life is going to throw some things at you, and it's just no matter what you do, you're going to have to overcome it and figure it out. You're going to have to figure out how to handle situations, and that's what this book is ultimately about. It's about Overcoming Adversities, because we all face them. We
Yes.
all have them. We all have those moments where we feel like giving up. We all have those moments where we don't know what our next move is going to be. Or we all have those moments where we're ready to just throw our hands up and say, you know what, I don't know. But I love, there's a quote that my dad used to always say, you know, sometimes uh, you have to do everything you know to do, and then it's time for you to give it over to God and allow Him to put some super on your natural.
Yeah. 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 I'm into that. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So that's really what it's about, man. I mean, this was just my story, but I almost feel like anybody could have written this book, man. I
Yeah,
almost feel
man.
like anybody could have put their name in
It's
here.
it's it's totally uh, it's totally relatable. Like
Yeah,
it's special. It's somebody that's actually trying to do something in life. This book would definitely benefit them
100%,
so much. It's unbelievable. And
100%.
and 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 I can't stress enough the just the first pages, just the introduction, the dedication,
Oh yeah,
which I
yeah. Thank
posted
you.
on IG, man.
Oh, good. Okay.
I the dedication means so much. Like
Yeah.
I'm just gonna. It says dedication. The book is dedicated to everyone fighting desperately to achieve a far-reaching, elusive, and scary dream.
Mm,
I'm not gonna read everything else. You got to buy the book, but that right there, it's special.
yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I I was gonna say, you know, I'm gonna just read the last little two sentences of the dedication,
there
because
you go.
if you don't mind.
No, no, go ahead. This show is about you, baby.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
I got you. So the dedication says, this book is dedicated to everyone fighting desperately to achieve a far-reaching, elusive, and scary dream. Vulnerability is your superpower. Life is your teacher. Be willing to learn and never give up.
Oh man.
And you know, man, part of the reason why you know, in publishing this book, the editor is like, it needed me to write the dedication, and at the time I didn't really know what I wanted to put there. But you know, one thing I'm trying to do a better job of is like listening to myself. You know,
Yeah.
listening to my insides, being a little more connected. You know, um, because in writing this, I had to become more vulnerable and more authentic, man. Um, and so all of last year in 2020, I was the word that always kept coming to my mind. It kept reverberating in my mind for some reason. I have no earthly idea exactly as to why, but was the word vulnerable, vulnerability. And what exactly does that mean for me, you
Mm.
know, as a man and as a husband, as a father, as a son? Um, and basically what it means, man, is about, for me, exactly for me, what it means is about me bringing all of me to the world,
Mm-hmm.
not shrinking back anymore,
Mm-hmm.
not being ashamed of anything that has happened to me in the past, not being ashamed of anything that I've done, or not being ashamed of making a mistake, not being ashamed of being wrong. You know, getting rid of all of that and being who you are, doing the things that come to mind without thinking too much about it. And in doing that, man, I was able to get this book done. You know, that's why I said vulnerability is your superpower,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, like Dio, people want to hear you.
Yes.
At the end of the day, people want to see you. And the thing about it is, like, I do these 5 minute motivations, and since I've been doing this book and trying to get this book out, I've slowed down on it, but I'm about to pick it back up. But one of the things that I talked about was I did a talk called "They Are Waiting for You," and basically the whole point of it was to create this analogy of the world as the audience, as like in the bleachers, in the stands, sitting around in a stadium, watching and waiting to see you get on the field. And the reality of the situation is this: is that before Steph Curry became Steph Curry or LeBron James, we didn't know who he was.
True.
It wasn't until he blessed the world with their talent that we see it, and now they're superstars. They weren't afraid to get on the field. They weren't afraid to get on the court. And the point is that we have to get rid of that fear of being seen or being known or being like, because look, at the end of the day, when LeBron James misses a shot or Steph Curry misses a shot or they do some type of bonehead move, they're going to get criticized.
Facts. Correct.
But guess what? They're going to play the next game.
Yes.
They're going to be back on the field. We're going to be rooting for them. Now, I don't know Steph Curry. I don't know his wife. I don't know his kids, but I'm a fan of him. I like him. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's the same thing with me, with you. It's like people are waiting for you to do everything you know to do. Put it all out there. Write your book. Create your podcast. Be who you are, who you've been called to be. That hint that you have on the inside of you. Like, D, I don't know exactly how long you've been doing your podcast, but before you did it, it was just a thought.
Yes. Yes.
Before you got on here and had all of these different interviews, all these different podcasts, you have your YouTube page, you have all this Instagram, you have all of this stuff, but it started as a thought. It started as an idea, and that gets back to what I was saying earlier. Like, we have these things that come to mind, which are just little inklings of where you should be, of what you should be doing, because that's the real you.
Yes.
The expression of you, the full expression of who you are. And that's what I meant when I said, vulnerability is really your superpower. You being vulnerable enough to show us all of who you are. You being vulnerable. And I know when I say you, I'm not meaning you. I mean just generally.
Yeah. I know.
When we show who we are, when we come to the world and bring all of who we are to the table, the world has been waiting to see that. And the thing about it is, you can touch people I can't reach. Or I can reach people you might not be able to reach. But people need to hear your story, and they need to see you doing you. They need to see you living your full expression. And at the point that I became confident in that, that's when this got done. I've been playing around with this book for over 10 years, man. It's been in my mind for over 10 years. And for some reason, because either I didn't believe in myself, or maybe I had a complex, or maybe I don't know, or maybe I just had imposter syndrome, something.
Yeah.
This book has been sitting in my mind for over 10 years. And now it's finally out.
To the world.
Thank God. Finally got it out. But now in doing this book, I've learned that there's more that I got to do.
Yes. The work is not done.
Work is not done. I have more work to get done. And so, the whole reason why I even wrote the book, to look up that title, is because, again, we all face challenges. And, sometimes, when people get down on themselves, they hunch their shoulders and looking down, and then they have those moments where internally they also are feeling down and they're kind of depressed. Well, look up. The reason why it's called Look Up is because not only do you need to, no matter what you're going through, do you need to go up and walk confidently and handle your business, but also internally your mindset needs to be like, I can do this. I can make this happen. Yes, I had a setback. I'll let you mope for like a 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but that's it. It's time to get it going. Let's keep moving. That's really what it's about. Because at the end of the day, LeBron James, Steph Curry, they miss a shot. What do? You come back and you shoot again.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot the ball. Shoot your shot.
Facts. Oh, wow.
Oh man, this stuff gets me excited, man.
It's beautiful, man. It's facts. It's like you said, 2020 was a very vulnerable year for all of us.
Yeah.
And I think just because I'm a man, us men sometimes are afraid to get vulnerable. But when we stop being afraid of being vulnerable, we can do so much.
Yeah.
And inspire so much.
Inspires so much, man.
And it's you're hitting it right there on the nail. It's amazing, man. It's breathtaking.
Yeah.
Oh man. What made you so passionate about law?
So, for me, it was part of the reason why I wanted to go to law school is because I I've always been interested in business and deal making and contracts and things like that. I mean, before law school, I didn't really know much about contracts and all that stuff, but I've always been interested in being more knowledgeable about becoming the person who can, who knows his stuff, like knows contracts, can handle business and acquisitions, and really, that's really what I really ultimately wanted to get into was like mergers and acquisitions and stuff like that. And I'm actually heading in that route, but uh, so really, man, I wanted to get into law school, man, because I and do deal with mergers, acquisitions, contracts, and things like that. Now that was my focus. I wanted to focus on that area. But when I ended up going to law school, I started recognizing that the law is really involved in everything, everything. Like, I mean,
Yes.
the law is into everything. And in particular, when you think about like business law and things like that, business law really almost really runs the world. And the only reason I say that is because if you think about it, you have you have the individual and you have the business, right? You have the corporate, the entity, the regular
Hmm.
individual, and you have the entity. And you have the individual who, like the common person, like yourself, myself, we work and we are, we're taxed at a certain amount. And it's just kind of crazy. We can't avoid taxes, right?
Yeah.
Whereas you have these corporations who bring in billions of dollars,
They're avoiding it left and right.
they are minimally taxed, and there's no penalty for it. And not to mention they're able to enter into contracts. They have a lot of they are able to avoid liability for all kinds of things. Companies can be set up to prevent liability for their shareholders or for their
Hmm.
corporate owners and stuff like that. And so it always fascinated me, like, dang, going, how do these people do this? And so so I really kind of I wanted to be that person who could handle setting up businesses, helping businesses acquire other businesses, just help them learn how to merge things like that. And and so it's been kind of my passion. I've just been interested in helping people. So now I started my own firm. I have my own firm where I work with small to mid-sized firms, generally with like startups, people who are ready to start up and get their business going, the operating agreements and things like that, and also with like mergers and acquisitions, helping them acquire other businesses. Um, Really smaller businesses, the ones that are doing no more than like $1 to $5 million worth of business, and eventually, hopefully I want to get up to like the 10-20 million, but right
That
now,
God willing it.
yeah, but yeah, that was always been my passion. I've always loved business. I've always loved reading about business. I've always been interested in some of the business minds of the world, and um, and so yeah, I've been really passionate about that and wanted to be like that person who could go in a room and really understand what's going on and be able to represent a client or even do some of my own deals at a certain point is what I want to do. So yeah, I just
That's
want
what's
to
up, man.
yeah, more
Good
I
for
want to be
you.
more knowledgeable, man. So that's why I did that.
Man, you're super busy. Like you're writing a book, you're running your own law firm. You're a father, you're a husband, you're in real estate.
Yeah.
I when do you have time to sleep? But that's good.
I
Keeping
sleep standing
busy.
up, man.
Yeah, that's good. Keeping busy. That's the way to go.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
how how far have you like the year of the pandemic, right? How did that affect you and your daily hustle to like let's say you accomplish this book or
Yeah.
get a contract? How much did that affect you?
Quite a bit. I mean, it was it's interesting because I had the firm last year, but at the same I was kind of transitioning out of a
Mm.
full-time job. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was kind of like but the thing about it was that by us having to have by me having to stay home and not into the office because I used to work in Midtown, it gave me that extra time in between for commuting back and forth. It gave me that time to be able to work on my book. It really gave me time to kind of hone in. So I said, like, okay, every other day I'm going to put in a couple hours extra for my book. And then on the days on the other days, I would do some work on my firm and do some things like that. And and so I just had to really structure my time. And then my wife did that program with your wife, and
Yeah.
so she's been doing real estate. So we've been having to like like
Balance everything out.
man, really budget our time, like not budget our time, but
Yes.
really like manage our time,
Time
even with
management.
the kids. Like sometimes there would be times where she would had a meeting or a call, and I need to go take care of the kids, and why give them a bath, and and so and there'd be times when I'd have a call or a meeting, and she would have to go take. So it was us really balancing our time, syncing up our schedules to make things happen. In terms of like contracts and finding clients and things like that, that had to change
Hmm.
because no longer was I at a point where I could do these face-to-face meetings or have these
Handshakes and
right. It changed. So for me, my whole marketing plan had to shift a little bit. It had to shift from the face-to-face meetings, from the seminars, giving seminars, in front of people, to now I'm reaching out to my contacts and letting them know, like, I'm still here, I'm doing this, blah blah blah, or reaching out to different groups, getting on podcasts like
yeah.
this. Yeah. And so like my whole network, everything has kind of changed in the sense that now I'm recognizing the power of digital, the power of social media.
Yes.
Yeah. And not only recognizing, but seeing how it can really change how things are done. And
Hmm.
so I mean, because the reality is business is never going to be the same again.
No.
And I mean, very few things are going to be the same again. I mean, we are going into a new world where now it's going to be very hard for businesses to justify people working in their office. Like they can't say that we can't allow you to work from home, because we see that happened last year, all of last year, or the majority of last year. You know, so it's really kind of set me up to the point where now I'm recognizing the power of digital. I'm recognizing the power of social media. At a point when I didn't necessarily know about with funnels, now that's something I have to think
Oh
about.
man,
You know,
Click funnels. Oh,
yeah,
that's another topic. But I totally get what you're saying, man.
yeah,
It's like example like this podcast, right? So this is something that's been making. I think I've said this story multiple times, but I'll say it again, just for to inspire and to open the mind, right?
yep.
So this podcast has been 3-4 years in the making,
Wow, wow.
and it took a pandemic for me to actually, you know, okay, I want to do this.
Yeah,
I,
see,
I'm like
yeah,
I'm like a night commercial. The only thing that'll pay me for advertisement. I just I got to do it. Just do it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
I spend so much money and really on come think of it now on things that I don't even use. I
Hmm.
spend almost maybe $400 on a Zoom mic
Yep,
because I thought I could use it to record great audio, lighting equipment, to try to, reach this perfection that I've never encountered before.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I come to
yeah,
realize that the only way I'll find some type of, perfection if I do something, accomplish it, and once I accomplish, sit back and see my art,
yes,
and then now pinpoint where I need to, fix this and fix that.
yeah,
And man, I just one day in December, I said, fuck it. Uh,
yeah,
I
yeah,
downloaded the free version of Zoom,
yep.
which the
There you
free
go.
version of Zoom, for as long as just two people,
Yep,
you get to record it. And once you record it, it downloads automatically. It gives you a
yep,
separate file for just audio, a
yep,
separate file audio, just video. So
yep.
it's giving me two different platforms, which I don't have to try myself crazy
Yeah,
editing.
yes, right,
And boom, I pre-recorded like 4 or 5 to have in a vault to build that consistency,
right.
because that to success, the major key is consistency. So
Consistency, yes.
I'm a fan of Mondays, and I every Monday at 12 o'clock, either 8, depending the type of podcast I have, and every Monday, boom, new episode, new episode,
Mm,
new episode. And that's why pre-record everything because
Yeah.
I'm trying to build something.
Yes,
So
of
a lot of
course. Right.
people, you go on these seminars or whatnot, says go live, go live, go live. Why are you going to go live if you have nobody following you? You know, like
Right.
the same type of views you'll get, if the same type of view you get recording, pre-recording is the same views you're going to get live. So you go live,
Right.
uh, you get, let's say, 250 views.
Right.
That those are not views you being live.
Right.
Those are views you getting pre-recorded.
Right.
So it's
Right.
there, you know.
Right.
So I just, I did it from December. I launched it in January, and from January, 5 months in, I'm right here talking to
See,
an honor, talking to
yeah.
you.
I appreciate it, man. See, that's what I'm talking about. And see, that's the thing. It's like, it's interesting because the same thing happened for me. The whole I would almost give credit to Corona for me getting this book done. Like
Yeah,
I think the whole this whole Corona thing was a tragic disease that or not disease or this
virus.
virus that just
Yes.
really impacted the world in so many ways. On the other side of that, though, you're starting to see that a lot of people just jumped out there, started their own thing, started doing these entrepreneurial ventures, and they started creating a podcast, wrote a book, or started some kind of business, did something else here. And the thing about it, sometimes I almost feel like it took the world slowing down for people to recognize that, listen, I have something to bring to the world. I
Yes.
have something to bring to the table. And who knows if there would have been another opportunity for us to have even gotten to the place where we created these things.
Yes.
But it's like it's like it's interesting because you know things work out the way they're supposed to. I guess the way
Yeah.
things work out the way they're supposed to, the good and the bad. I mean, and we have to just keep pushing and keep believing and keep trusting ourselves, our own intuition, to make these things happen for ourselves. Because the thing is that again, your dreams, that little idea that you had, and you're like, huh, I could create a podcast.
Yeah.
And then you know what? Boom, here we are. Years later, I mean, come on, you have this thing you're doing your thing, you're interviewing people, you're meeting people, all because of an idea. So I heard this lady talk the other day, and it's really interesting. She's I think she's part of like Bob Proctor's program or something like that. She
Mhm.
she said something really interesting. She said, you know, everything starts with an idea, but then once you have the idea, you either you either turn away from it because of fear, or you push towards it because of faith.
Mhm.
So she was like, why don't we automatically choose to believe for everything? And I was like, dang,
That's
that's
deep.
that's good.
That's deep.
She's like, because at the end of the day, you are making a choice about how you're going to go about this thing. And I was like, wow, that's crazy because I mean, the reality is this true. Like you're making a conscious choice. I can do this. That's why you created this. I
Yes.
made a conscious choice. I could do this. That's why I wrote the book. So the question is, why aren't you doing that with everything in your life? Make the conscious choice that that dream, that idea of you going on a trip to Bora Bora or somewhere is possible. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Why not believe it? Why not believe?
It's crazy that you say that because I sometimes I get lost in my own thoughts. Like I'm I gotta be honest with myself, right? This is go back to being vulnerable.
Yeah.
I'm a person that sometimes I process things slower than the next person. But when I process it, my thought process goes a little further than the normal person,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I sometimes I look at my son because he's a big figure on everything I'm trying to do,
Mm,
right? So I think about like what is just what are the reason why people hold back on doing anything, you know
yeah. Yeah.
and like a lot of times is when I've like this dream inspire obtain deal talk, it's been so difficult because everybody that I try to partner up with, you got to come, first of all, you got to come to realization that at some point your business gets to a certain level, you can't do it on your own.
Yeah.
Right. And if you continue to do it alone, you as a businessman as well know that is going to go crushing down.
Yes.
So everyone that I've tried to partner up with, or just simply have a conversation that shut me down, they always go, I need the money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is how I break it down. Like example, I just signed to my company, Dream Inspire Obtain, 3 potential writers, upcoming writers, right? To create this hopefully awesome script. It's gonna be fun, right?
I love it.
Shout out to Thomas Chung, Eliana Martinez, and Benjamin Fortanes Jr.
I love that.
Okay. 3 great individuals, right? So before that, I sit down and approach people, and what I'm offering is an opportunity. It's not much, but it's an opportunity.
Right.
And they quickly shut me down because of the money.
Right.
And it's sometimes, I hate myself because I come off as a dick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my response is, but what have you created lately? Matter of fact, what have you done for yourself? Something that's valuable lately.
Right. Right.
Did you draw something? Did you write something? Did you make something?
Right.
We have to understand that, and this is something I learned. I was always ambitious to go to these higher positions, but in the truth, I wasn't ready. They want me. I want to get paid at $65,000 a year.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not ready for those $65,000 a year.
Right. Right.
So there's work. It's hard work.
Yes.
It's hard work. It's hard work. Writing this book is hard work.
Yes.
Starting your firm is hard work. Doing this podcast is hard work.
Yes.
And sometimes I believe people are not willing to do the work.
Yeah. What's interesting is that when you ever heard of a book called As a Man Thinketh? As a Man Thinketh, written by Napoleon Hill. It's an excellent book. But the whole point of it was just that we're kind of getting back to what you were just saying. This gentleman had the opportunity to, he had the opportunity to interview this guy named Andrew Carnegie. Mm-hmm. I think it was Andrew Carnegie, one of them, one of those big mavens of the industrial age. And he told him, he said, I want you to interview me. He said, but I'm not going to pay you. And he said, I want you to decide if you want to do it, yes or no. And what he didn't know at the time was that he gave the guy only 30 seconds or like only a minute to make the decision. And if he didn't make the decision, he would have told him, no, I don't want you to do it. So the guy, Andrew Napoleon Hill, he made the decision. He's like, sure, I'll do it. Because he saw the value of investing in himself.
There you go. Boom.
You know what I'm saying? No money. This dude who's a billionaire could have paid him anything, but he told him, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to pay you. He said, I want you to make a decision whether or not you're going to, do this interview, but I'm not going to pay you. And needless to say, the book is sold millions and millions of copies, made millions and millions of millionaires. And it's an excellent book. I would totally recommend it, but I would recommend my book first, but
yes. You can the look up,
baby, look up. But that goes to the point. Like sometimes people want something so bad in their hand, but they don't understand. Like I did another talk about this, about investment.
We need to get you on TED Talk ASAP. We need to do a petition. We need to get you there ASAP. You have too much knowledge, too much inspiring stories to just, for this podcast. We need to get you to a bigger platform.
I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you, man. TED Talk, if you're listening, I'm ready.
Yes.
So I did this talk also on about the power of investment. The reason why the power of investment is so powerful, it's not because you put money in your hand and you hold it with a tight grip. Because if you hold it with a tight grip, the money's not going anywhere. It's going to stay right there in your hand.
Yes.
But at the point that you are able to release that money into the universe, into someone else, into a resource, into an experience, you don't know how far that money can go. And whenever it comes back to you, it's always going to come back with some friends.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why people who think like that, who say, I need the money, they're only thinking about what they can have in their hand right then and there. They're not thinking about the value that it's going to help them be, the value it's going to help them create in their life, in their own life, and then in other people's life, and the experience that they're going to get. They're not thinking about that.
I think that's the defect to a hustler, right?
Mm,
A hustler, he hustles. He's trying to make quick money,
right.
but the quicker he makes it, the quicker it goes. Now, I've always been with the mentality, it's longevity, it's the seed
Yes.
you continue to plant,
Yes.
so that one day you're able to enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Yes.
The plan is not to enjoy it now, but in the future, you're going to need it.
Yes.
And a lot of people, like I was born here, but I was raised from child in Puerto Rico. So despite it's an American territory, it's people treat it like we're Mexicans. I'm not gonna lie, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my mentality, sometimes people don't understand, because I have that immigrant mentality.
Right.
Any immigrant mentality is going to come here, work his ass off,
Right.
get his money, and store it away in a corner, and then make more money, and then starts buying this here investment into, next thing you know, in a blink of an eye, he becomes a billionaire without you even knowing. And all he did was
Yep.
is work his ass off.
Yep.
I think we need more of that with our people from here.
Yes. Yeah.
To be able to be able to understand the value of hard work, and that tomorrow can be promised, if not for you, but for your children.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the investment mindset that, just like you said, I think sometimes the mindset, just like you said, the mindset of the hustler, the quick money, or even social media. People on social media, they have this idea that everybody wakes up with this glamorous look.
With the Lambo, with the Porsche. You go on YouTube just to watch a Chris video, and you get an ad. Hey, you like this Lambo?
Yeah, right.
You know how I made it? You want to make a quick $100,000? That's so annoying. But you know what? This goes to this because it tells your story of your struggle.
Yes.
Nobody's telling the story anymore.
Nobody's telling the story of the struggle.
Everybody wants to be a millionaire, but don't know how to handle their money.
Exactly. There's a quote by this guy named I can't even think of his name right now. Anyway, his quote is really good. He says, "Strive to become a millionaire, not for the money, but for what it will make of you to get it." So people want the millions, but they don't want the struggle to get it. People want, just like you said, they want the Lambo, but they don't want the struggle to figure out how to get it. So, just like you said, it takes work, and sometimes that 4-letter word "work" is the biggest cuss word.
Yeah, it's scary. It's disrespectful.
It's disrespectful.
I tell my wife, she complains so much about my grammar and the way I post things, and I told her, good. And she's like, why? It's good because it tells a story. If you look at my first episode to now, my 90th episode, the evolution.
That's awesome, man.
The evolution, the change.
Right.
A nice shirt, a granny shirt, a background, no background. The evolution, it tells a story without you knowing.
Right.
You want to admire somebody, you want to admire something, you have to be a student of the game. You have to learn the lesson.
Right.
You have to study each evolution, that nothing came easy and everything was work.
Right.
And I preach that shit every fucking day, and it's difficult.
Yeah.
And you go tell somebody to work, you're disrespecting them. How could you tell them?
Disrespectful.
How long did it take you to write this book?
So when I started writing it,
I know it said 10 years, but not I want to know for the time frame till you said all right, it's on. like Donkey Kong,
Yeah.
and boom, back consistency. All right, I got 30 minutes to write this. Boom, 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 boom. Next day, 30 minutes to write this. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
How long was that time frame?
So I would say, because when I said 10 years, it's been sitting in me for 10 years. I didn't start writing the book until about,
Got it.
I would almost say about 4 or 5 years ago. But even then, 4 or 5 years ago, I was just putting down ideas and thoughts, almost like a journal. And
Structurizing it,
yeah,
yeah.
but it wasn't until I would say almost last year. Last year was the year I was just like, you know what? I'm getting this book done, and I'm not going to play around with it. I'm going to get this thing done, and I'm going to move on with my life to something else. So last year, it took me almost a whole year to get, in between work and trying to work on the firm and trying to handle the family and everything. I worked on it as much as I could, and adding things in, taking things out, changing the sequence of things, changing how I thought about things and how I worded it. And I mean, there's whole sections in here where I just completely cut it all out and started over again. And I mean, it took time. It took some time. And it's my first one. So I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just trying to get it down. And
But that goes back to what I said earlier. Like you would never know what is perfection until you actually create something.
Exactly.
And sit back and admire it and say, next time maybe I could do this a little better.
Yes.
Change this,
Yes.
Because if we go by what another person does, you'll go back to me fucking 3 years in the making trying to make a podcast because I'm living my life through somebody else's eyes, but not through mine.
Exactly. So it took me about a year, man. About a good more than a year, but like a solid year of like when I was able to just really focus and hone in my attention on it. So it took some time. So
when was that? How was that moment when you realized it was done? Like you sat back and you had nice pages set up and you sat back and it's like it's done.
Yeah.
How was describe that moment?
Wow. So so there's a story behind all that too, because even when I finally told my wife, I was like, Liv, I think I'm done with the book. I think I'm done writing it. And so at that time, I didn't have a publisher. I didn't know what I didn't know what to do. And a friend of mine reached out to me and was like, hey, a friend of mine just started a publishing company. You should check them out. And so I called them. I just like, I don't have anybody else. So I might as well just see what they're talking about. And man, this lady she had already written 3 books. She had her books on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, Target. And I was like, shoot, okay, let me work with her. And working with her was a great experience. And then like in working with her, we got the cover together, we got the design, and she was telling me that, you can get the book done in a certain time frame faster than I thought. I had no clue. And in doing that, we worked together. We were going back and forth and editing it. We sent it to the formatter. We sent it to the editor. She edited some things. And then she said, Elman, your book is done. And I said, wait, what? Like, what? So I ordered a copy of it just before it actually went to, before it actually went, before it became actually properly formatted. And then this is my first copy when it's called like it has not for resale on there.
Yeah.
And because it still has some things in it that needs to be fixed. And when I saw this, this is what like
ignited that.
It was a feeling like, man, I think the feeling was I did it.
Yes.
I actually did this thing, man. This was like I don't know anybody in my family that's written a book. I didn't know. Nobody else knew what to tell me. And I was like, and I've been talking about writing a book for years. I was like, I should write a book. I should write a book. And finally got it done. And I felt good. I felt accomplished. I felt like I did I felt good to like I wanted to dedicate some of it to my parents because they played such a big role in that, like my dad and my mom and even my wife and it was a good feeling, man. It was like a really good feeling.
Who was the first one to read it? Who was like the one you're like, all right, you need to read this, and you just sit there and look back and
The first one to read the book, I think it was I don't know. I was about to say my parents, but the thing about my parents is that I sent chapters to them to read, so they
Okay.
already read it. And my in them reading it, they actually wanted a lot of stuff taken out. So because
Oh,
I had put in a lot, I had put in like all of the family stuff, everything. I wasn't sugarcoating anything, man.
oh
And
man.
then they were like, "No, this
You're
can't
like,
go."
boy, you need to take that out.
So they were like, they took it out. But the other thing was that I had a friend of mine who I went through law school with.
Was it your roommates, the ones in the book? No.
Yes, she was actually a roommate. I had two other guy roommates and then her. And like for some reason, man, like her and I were like brother and sister, man. She knew everything that I had actually went through in this book. And she was like, and she's like family friend and everything. And I remember when she read it, she was she called me and was like almost crying, man. Like this
Wow.
is this is really amazing. I could not put it down. And she read it actually in less than 24 hours. She read it the whole
She
thing.
was
Like,
hooked. I mean, it's if it wasn't because I got kids running around, my wife, and
oh,
so many
I get it.
obligations, man. I'm telling you, that first chapter hooks you. It
Yeah.
hooks you. I was like this reading, and my son would pull me,
Yeah.
or my wife would call me, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh shit, like zoned out.
So yeah.
Zoned
Yeah.
out, not listening to anything until my wife came
Yeah.
in and smacked me beside the head, and like I'm talking. Don't you hear me calling you? But the first chapter is definitely. I like the way you structure it, especially if you're somebody like me who has a son. Man, just wishes to be half a father figure your
Mm,
dad was to you, man.
mm. Yeah, me
That's
too,
that
man.
that's like I said, like I read that, I got something in my throat, like
Yeah.
this is real.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, it's amazing, man.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, it's a dedication, man. There's a lot in here, man. I just wanted to put it all out there, and I wanted to be as real as possible. And one of the, just like you said, I wanted the reader, a person who read this to relate to it in some kind of way. You know, it didn't. This story didn't have to be about law school. It could have been any of our story. And I wanted it to be one of those things where it touches you, where you could laugh at it and you could cry in it. There's a part in here when I had returned home and I just was going through some things, and there's a couple funny parts in here about just about my experience trying to just figure it out.
Yeah,
And but those moments make you stronger. Those
yeah,
moments make you the person that you are, and I don't take them away from I embrace them all. I embrace them all. And so what I learned from that was that, just like I said earlier about not being afraid of failure, like actually seeking out failure for the things that I want to get accomplished, but then at the same time giving myself the grace to recognize that I'm not going to know it all. I'm not going to get it all right the first time.
but isn't that like, I don't mean to cut you up, but isn't that the beauty of it?
Yes.
Imagine
Yes.
like all right, so like I got out of high school.
Hmm.
I didn't like high school was I was popular, so cut that out first, right? But it was like I didn't want to learn anything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like it's something that when I got out of high school, I began to have this passion of learning just anything and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I realized like just knowing everything is so dull and boring, but
Hmm.
yet it's beautiful when you have that passion to learn. Like
Yes.
it makes you feel alive.
Yes. It is because at the end of the day, I personally feel like the essence of life is about development.
Yes.
It's about development. And if you can develop yourself to be the best person that you can be, then you've done something. If you're not trying to become better, if you're not working on yourself, because ultimately at the end of the day, when you are working on yourself, you're making the world a better place. At the point that you stop working on yourself, it's like because the world is always moving, time is always moving.
Yes.
Time doesn't stop. The sun is going to come up, the sun is going to go down, the moon is going to come. Those are always going to happen. But as you're working on yourself, you're either progressing because you're working on yourself, or you're regressing, you're going back.
Yes.
So it's like,
Yes.
what are you going to do with the time that you have? Because let's be honest, this world, like no time is guaranteed.
Yes.
It's not you're here today and gone tomorrow. No, you're here today and you might be gone today. Like this is the world that we live in, and there's so many things that are going on. So if you want a better world, let's start there. If you want a better world, then you have to learn. You have to be, and if you want to earn, you have to be, the learners are the earners. I mean, just like
Yes.
the people who are able to learn and to develop themselves, who can communicate the thoughts that they have, who create these platforms to introduce and talk to other people and learn what their experiences are and put it out there on their platforms. I mean, come on. But this is what this life is about. It's about developing ourselves into our full nature. That's why I said, like, our vulnerability experience is not just about, just trying to be nice and stuff like that. No, vulnerability is about becoming all of who you really are. You're becoming the full expression of who you are. Not settling for, being mediocre in anything in your mind, in your life. It's for, like, where I want to develop the passion. Everything I do, I want to come with the full passion right now. This is everything I have. I'm bringing it all. I know it or I don't know it, but you're going to get all of what I have.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know? And that's what this life is about. It's about that push to become the fullest expression of who you are. And
Amen to
it,
that.
man. Yeah. Yeah.
Amen to that. Right here. Right here. Here.
Look up, man. Yes.
So
yes.
we got 2 goals to set, right?
Mhm.
1, we gotta get you on TED Talk.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And 2, we gotta send this book to Oprah.
Oh, yes,
We
man.
gotta send it to Oprah. We gotta get her address and we gotta send it to her ASAP. She needs to read this.
That's
all right.
I love that, man. I'm gonna look her address up.
Give her a freebie. That's the only
Yeah,
freebie
of
that's
course.
worth it.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Right? You gotta think big. You gotta think outside of the box.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
I'm gonna write that down, brother.
yes. Tell the people what to find you.
So I am on all the social media outlets. So on Instagram, you can find me at Elman Woodson, ELMAN. Last name is Woodson, WOODSON. Facebook, Elman Woodson. I'm on Twitter at I am Elman Woodson. And I also, on my Instagram, on my link tree, I have like my YouTube, I have my law firm. I'm actually, this is crazy. I'm actually starting a consulting firm for business consulting, advisory consulting. So that will soon be on there. So yeah, I'm on there. And for my book right now, you can find me at www.elman, the number 2, Wixsite, WIXSITE.com/look up. So
there you go.
Mouthful. I'll say it one more time. It's at Elman, www.elmanwoodson, at elmanwoodson2.wixsite, WIXSITE.com/look up.
There you go. Go check him out. Go buy his book.
Yes, please.
It's an amazing journey. First chapter is going to get you hooked. It's been an honor, a pleasure to have this intellectual conversation with you.
Yes, yes.
I've learned so much. Shout out to your dad. Shout out to your mom.
You,
shout out to your wife. Shout out to your kids. Shout out to your twin brother.
Appreciate it, man.
And man, thank you for coming on and trusting me.
Yes,
and
definitely.
guys, I'm out, but go check it out. Have a great day,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you for this, man. I appreciate it.
Peace.
All right.